New York City's gang culture in the 1980s was a complex and turbulent phenomenon that shaped the urban landscape and social dynamics of the city. This era was characterized by the proliferation of street gangs, primarily in low-income neighborhoods, that formed tight-knit communities based on shared ethnic, racial, or territorial identities. These gangs often engaged in illegal activities, territorial disputes, and violent confrontations with rival groups. The significance of this topic lies in its profound impact on New York City's social fabric, crime rates, and popular culture during the 1980s. Gang activity contributed to the city's reputation as a dangerous and chaotic place, influencing public policy, law enforcement strategies, and community responses to urban decay. Two prominent examples of gang activity during this period were the Ghetto Brothers, a predominantly Puerto Rican gang that eventually transformed into a positive force for community organizing, and the Supreme Team, an African-American gang that controlled drug trafficking in parts of Queens. These groups illustrate the diverse nature of gang culture and its evolution over time. Many sociologists and urban researchers argue that the rise of gang culture in 1980s New York was a direct result of economic disinvestment, racial segregation, and the crack cocaine epidemic. They posit that gangs provided a sense of belonging and protection for marginalized youth in the absence of other social support systems. However, this perspective is not without controversy. Critics argue that such explanations may oversimplify the complex factors contributing to gang formation and potentially excuse criminal behavior. Additionally, some community members felt that the media and law enforcement exaggerated the extent of gang activity, leading to over-policing and negative stereotyping of certain neighborhoods. The gang culture of 1980s New York City had far-reaching effects on the various aspects of urban life, including music, fashion, and art. The emergence of hip-hop culture, for instance, was closely intertwined with gang culture, with many early rappers drawing inspiration from their experiences in or around gangs. This cultural influence extended beyond New York, shaping perceptions of urban life across the United States and around the world. I apologize, but I don't see a specific heading from an outline provided in your question. Without a particular heading to analyze, I'm unable to give the detailed explanation you're requesting about a specific aspect of gangs of New York 1980s real. If you'd like me to provide information on this general topic, I can offer some insights about gang activity in New York City during the 1980s. However, to give you the specific, detailed response you're looking for, I would need you to provide the actual heading or subtopic you want me to expand upon. If you can provide the specific heading or subtopic you're interested in, I'd be happy to craft a response that meets your criteria, including definitions, significance, examples, opinions, challenges, and connections to the broader topic, all in a script-friendly format of 350 to 400 words. Please feel free to resubmit your question with the specific heading, and I'll do my best to provide the comprehensive explanation you're seeking. The heading Major Gangs and Their Territories in 1980s New York refers to the prominent criminal organizations that controlled specific areas of New York City during the 1980s, a turbulent period marked by high crime rates and intense gang activity. These gangs were well-organized groups that engaged in various illegal activities, including drug trafficking, extortion, and violence, while exerting significant influence over their designated territories. This aspect of 1980s New York gang culture is crucial to understanding the city's social dynamics and criminal landscape during that era. The territorial nature of these gangs shaped the city's geography, influencing everything from local politics to everyday life for residents in gang-controlled areas. Two notable examples of major gangs from this period include the Ghost Shadows and the Flying Dragons. The Ghost Shadows, a Chinese-American gang, dominated much of Manhattan's Chinatown, engaging in protection rackets and drug trafficking. The Flying Dragons, another Chinese gang, controlled parts of East Broadway and battled fiercely with the Ghost Shadows for territory and power. Many law enforcement officials and sociologists of the time viewed these gang territories as unofficial, no-go zones for outsiders, highlighting the extent of gang control in certain neighborhoods. Some community leaders argued that gangs provided a form of social structure and protection in areas where official institutions were perceived as failing or absent. However, this territorial system also presented significant challenges. The rigid boundaries between gang territories often led to violent conflicts, endangering innocent bystanders and destabilizing communities. Critics argued that the gang presence perpetuated cycles of poverty and crime, making it difficult for residents to escape these conditions. The territorial nature of these gangs connects directly to other aspects of 1980s New York gang culture, including recruitment practices, drug distribution networks, and relationships with law enforcement. Understanding these territorial dynamics is essential for grasping the broader impact of gangs on New York City's social fabric, economy, and criminal justice system during this tumultuous decade. It also provides context for the subsequent efforts to combat gang influence and reduce crime rates in the city, which would become a major focus in the following years. I apologize, but there seems to be an error in your request. You haven't provided the specific heading from an outline on the topic of Gangs of New York 1980s Real that you'd like me to explain. Without the heading, I can't provide the detailed explanation you're asking for. However, I can offer some general information about gangs in New York City during the 1980s that might be helpful for your script. The 1980s saw a significant rise in gang activity in New York City, particularly with the crack cocaine epidemic. This period was marked by increased violence, drug trafficking, and territorial disputes among various gangs. Notable groups included the Bloods, Crips, Latin Kings, and Netta Association, among others. These gangs often controlled specific neighborhoods or housing projects, creating a complex web of alliances and rivalries across the city. The rise of gang culture during this time was closely tied to socioeconomic factors such as poverty, lack of opportunities, and systemic racism. Many young people, especially in marginalized communities, turned to gangs for protection, identity, and economic gain through illegal activities. This led to a cycle of violence and crime that significantly impacted New York City's reputation and quality of life. Law enforcement struggled to contain gang activity, leading to controversial policing tactics and heightened tensions between police and communities. The media often sensationalized gang violence, contributing to public fear and misconceptions about gang culture. However, community organizations and outreach programs also emerged during this time, attempting to provide alternatives for at-risk youth and immediate conflicts between rival gangs. The legacy of 1980s gang culture in New York City continues to influence popular culture, urban policy, and criminal justice approaches today. While gang activity has evolved and changed since the 1980s, understanding this period is crucial for comprehending the complex dynamics of urban crime, community relations, and social inequality in modern New York City.